to the seasonal production promotion. And obviously, I'm using the slides or the PPT just as a guideline. I'll talk a lot about off the slides, but just to give you guys more information on the product, what to look out for. The product is amazing, but we've obviously found out there's a lot of issues when it comes to installation. So there's one thing before I start the training that we need to just adhere to when it comes to the wireless alarm and HikLeague. The ratio is 80 to 20. So when I say 80 to 20, it's 80% planning and 20% action. So a lot of times guys do it the other way around. They do 80% action and 20% plan, and that's where things go wrong. But obviously, I'll just take you guys through it as we go along. And let me start with the family of the AX Pro. Okay, cool. So our spotlight highlights that we're going to speak about is the M2H. The M2H is basically our AX Pro that has 16 onboard hardwired inputs. So it's actually the hybrid. Although we have the AX Pro that has the multi-transmitter that can also make it hardwired. But the nice one here is that the M2H is actually 16 zones on board. And normally the case would be is that if you have a 16-zone input transmitter and it's far away, sometimes if you have transmission issues, then obviously 16 zones is obviously going to fall away because of a wireless interference. In this case, we actually have 16 zones on board. That is just that. And then we're obviously going to speak about a discontinuation of one or two products, but we obviously replace it with a better one. We've also came out with the dual curtain, and not to speak about our competitors, but just let's use the BX80, the optic BX80 that look butterfly sideways. We've also came out with the butterfly that looks sideways as well, and we've also done a massive improvement with our from operational and a mounting perspective with the magnetic improvement on our door contact. Right. Then we'll speak about the AX Pro, and then we'll obviously just touch a little bit based on the software and the solutions on the AX Pro as well. Guys, please, at quarter past 10, I'm not going to monitor the chats, but at quarter to 10, I mean 9:45, I'll be looking at all the questions, and please feel free. If you guys have installed the product before, if you guys have an issue with the product, just put it all in there, and I'll drop my number and name and email address, and you guys are gladly willing to contact me, and I'll try my best to remedy the problem on hand. Okay, so let's talk about the just in a nutshell about the AX Pro wireless solution. Why is it so unique? What the feature and benefits are compared to our competitors? And then we will just indulge a little bit later more in depth with the product. Okay, as you can see, the product family is quite vast. We have obviously 4 different versions of the AX Pro. Obviously the wireless, the wired. We have the GPRS version. We have the 4G version. We also have what they call the repeaters. So something what I just want to take under context as well is that a lot of people ask me the question, so how does your repeater work? Our repeater works as we create a start topology. The repeater will talk back to the panel, and it doesn't talk from repeater to repeater. That's just one thing that I need to clear up there. And also with a lovely tool that we came out now with is also our full LCD display keypad. And why I say it's a lovely tool to have, because we obviously live in South Africa where we do have a lot of load shedding, and obviously the towers go down. You don't have a gateway from your mobile device back into your panel, and you cannot actually switch off your alarm. And that's why we have to go back to basics. Like as we're going back to basics with lights, lighting up candles because of load shedding, we have to go back to basics with a keypad. And for example, if you have 4 partitions, there is no way that you'll be able to know which partition zone is going off, because the binary on an LED keypad is just so high, it just makes it impossible for you to know what partition, like zone 52 went off in partition 10. So just to give you an example, on the AX Pro, on the 2 versions of ours, we've got a 16 partition panel, and we've got a 32 zone partition panel. So for example, on your 11 partition zone 48 went off, you wouldn't know how that which zone was. And that's why we thought about ourselves, let's get back to the market and get the LCD keypad designed, and it works like a charm. It's obviously very user friendly. You can put lights on and off there. You can open up your gates. It's very, very user friendly. Bearing in mind, those that have used the keypad, your the version that it works optimally and works very well, you need to be in version 1.06 on it, just to give you that thing for those guys that has installed LCD keypad, and obviously they've obviously find little trouble with it. If you look where the cursor is a little bit, we've got a 480-degree panoramic beam. Obviously, looks to call 180 degrees, and it has, you can add up to 2 modules to it as well. So basically, which will give you the 180-degree capture. You'll get 2 photos, 2 videos coming to your app, and obviously the tri-tech detector is obviously a 90-degree with 3 types of technology: 2 pyros, 1 what you call microwave, which is adjustable through the app, and we also have anti-masking as a standard. Then we've came out with another new passive. So we said we're going to speak about the spotlights, and also touch and go with the new products we got. We've came out with the double PIR camera, double PIR beam, which is high mounted 2.5, and obviously also 90-degree detection. So the tri signal and the 180-degree is low mount 1.2 to 1.4, and obviously your double PIR, which is high mount, is up to 2.5 meters high. And then obviously, if you look on the far right here, we've got a power supply module, which is 12-volt DC. If you do open up the AX Pro and you just slot the card, you slot out the card, you put those units back in, it gives a unit 12 volts. And if you're running a power pack with a 7 amp battery, we've tested it out with some company out in Springs. I think it's ProSafe Security, if I stand corrected, and they're running some panels there for 10 days without power. So that's just another way just for you guys to remember, if you guys are running into problems with power issues and stuff like that, just think of considering putting in the 12-volt DC as well. And then you'll notice we've obviously got 3 different type of magnets. We've got the slim line contact, we've got the little bit bigger one, and we've got the outdoor mag contact. Guys, just something to remember is that the slimline door contact, in my years experience with HikVision, is that slimline door contact only works well on wooden door frames. And most of the houses today don't have wooden door frames. And obviously, it's a bit of a problem when it comes to aluminium and steel, because I think the reed switch and the magnet, there's just a bit of interference on it. But when you use the little bit bigger one, it obviously works perfectly. And obviously the outdoor mag is obviously meant for your sliding gate. So if you look down to the bottom, you've got our relay, the wall switch, and the smart plug. So something, if you look at them, they both look identical in appearance. The only difference is one got 6 inputs and the other one got 4 inputs that you use. And you know the difference between a relay will be 12 volts to 36 volts, because some ET and Centurion motors is obviously 36 volts. And the wall switch, just think about the wall switch as a wall plug, wall switch, which is for 220, right? And it can run up to 13 amps. So I'm saying that your wall switch can switch off anything and everything, but just bearing in mind that depending on the amount of amperage that you do have, if you have a geyser that's 40 amps or 60 amps, there's no way you were able to switch off a geyser unless that you install a contactor. Our relay will trigger the contact, and the contact will trigger the geyser. So there's many ways to skin the cat, but I'm just saying that out there now. I don't want you guys to put on a wall switch and then at the end of the day, beg your pardon, the relay blows because too much amperage to do that. Okay. So we're going to speak about the system topology. So if you just look on the right, here we are where the mouse is, the cursor is. If you just stop there, is that you'll notice we've got 2 frequencies. We've got a 868 and we've got a 433. And as you guys would know, 433 is a little bit, I'll be modest about it, a little bit of a suspect, because it's a one-way communication. It's also high traffic megahertz frequency, and it's easy to jam. So in South Africa, we only use the 868 frequency because of the SAITA specification, as well as we want to have the bidirectional between the devices. Obviously, if you look at our whole topology, you can set up from 5 minutes to 30 minutes that you can do a ping interval between the devices. If the ping interval does not reach, the panel will prompt back to say device offline, and then you'll obviously know that that unit is not anymore available, or is something else that's wrong. So there is a ping interval between the two. If we do add internet to the system, that's where you have the gateway to go to HikConnect app. If you're not using the radio, because we can use a radio on the unit as well, a FSK or RDC radio. And also something to mention as well on top of that is that the RDC radio and also the FSK radio can also arm and disarm the alarm as well. We can use a normal Sherlotronic remote as well, or ET remote, to arm the system as well, that no other wireless company now at the moment could achieve that, but HikVision managed to achieve that. So if you don't have internet, right, if you don't have internet, there's no way you can operate your HikConnect app. There's no way signals will go to the control room, because we have like 5 different methods to go. We've got LAN, Wi-Fi, we've got 2 SIM cards, and we've got the radio backup. So I always tell customers, best business practice would be to add a RF radio to the back end, because if internet falls away, you always have RF radio frequency that will transmit the signal back to your control room. But in the event, if you are only doing an IP link back to the control room, you will require internet to get the signal in. If you don't have internet, your system will still operate in an offline validation mode, and the radio, your RF radio, will trigger back the signal to the control room. And obviously, Partner Pro is obviously the HIK Pro Connect, which we obviously formally branded to HIK Partner Pro. And obviously, wherever you are in the world or South Africa, you'll be able to access your system remotely to do configuration. Okay. Okay, so here we got our IO transmitter. The IO transmitter here, right? The IO transmitter here, we just need to be very careful when we talk about the IO transmitter, is that the IO transmitter can only send a voltage of 3.3 volts out. So, for example, if you have a normal optics or TACX beam, which is wired, and you take an existing system over, okay, great. You will use a multi-transmitter. You will use, for example, you only want to pull one zone across. So, for example, if one zone, I would suggest not using the IO transmitter, because the IO transmitter is only designed for 3.3 volts, so that will only be able to power any wireless beam up, right? Besides paradox, because they've got a encrypted frequency. So besides paradox, but this unit will power up any wireless detector besides paradox that's wireless. However, you can use this transmitter, which I'm a bit nervous to talk about, but I'll tell you about it, is that you can use this device to trigger back the signal and then have an external power of 12 volts going to the beam. But the problem is, if the power falls away there, and then we're in problem. So where with the IO module, if you have it connected to a third-party beam, this IO module gives the beam power and it gives a trigger. So gone are the days when the 9-volt battery dies on the system, the door contact, which is wireless to a specific brand, does not send the signal because the relay has not tripped to activate the circuit on the mag to send the signal through. And then there's a breaking, and nobody knows what's happened. And at the end of the day, it was the battery that goes down, because the battery, the 9-volt battery, does not get monitored via our app, only the circuit. So we've obviously worked out that IO transmitter very nicely. And if you do have a wide beam that you need to bring across, I would strongly recommend that you put in rather a multi-transmitter, and that multi-transmitter will obviously send back the signal with the full supervision of the power as well. Okay, so let's talk about quickly, as you can see on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, we've got three different models here. We've got the PAW64, which is L, which is the light version. It's a GPRS version. If you ever wondered what the WE stands for, WE stands for the 868 frequency, and WB stands for 433. 96 is the medium one, which is 868. And then we've got the M2H, which I spoke in the beginning of the introduction. The M2H is our AX Pro with 16 hardwired zones on board. Okay, so dual RF chips. Dual RF chips means it's got Tri-X technology and CAM-X. So what we've done is we've put in all the non-CCTV stuff to go through the Tri-X, and everything CAM-X going through the CAM-X channel. And just to mention something as well, that on the 96 zone, you can add up to 16 cameras, 16, without an NVR. When you arm your alarm, you actually arm in the camera. So, and I'll strongly recommend also using your AccuSense cameras or your Heat Pro, Why am I saying that? Because once you hear the word AccuSense, automatically it will tell you that it got analytics in it. So you could do a line crossing intrusion zone. You can do 4 line crossings, 4 intrusion zones. You can do enter and exit detection. You can do queue detection. With the Heat Pro camera, you can do with a 10mm lens. You can do up to 7 meters of detection on one camera, as well as you've got optical. It's got the optical and it's got the fusion mode of view. But nevertheless, the 96 zone, preferably my all-time favorite, because of the fact is that the 16 cameras gets pulled into the system. You can see the live view on your system. You can do playback, you can do live view, but the AX Pro was so advanced that when you're on the alarm, it actually pulls the camera in as a detector, and it actually replaces what your beam would have done. So if you look at a normal beam will give you up to 12 to 50 meter detection on 90 degrees angle. So if you're looking at a normal 2.8mm camera, you will get about 20 to 30 meters detection. You will get 110 degrees angle. Plus you've got live view, you've got line crossing. So your limitation from a beam, although there is application for the beam, there's like a smaller room like I'm here. It's pointless putting a camera in, but the chances of you having a false alarm on a camera, if you set up correctly, is like less and that to a beam, and it's greater because 2 dogs run together. The beam sees 2, they see the weight, and then the beam trips, although one is 15 kg, the other dog is 25, amalgamated together, it's 40 kilos. The beam starts tripping and you have false alarms. You don't know why the beam is off. The controlling phones here said you beam it off. Okay, fine, everything is good. In the meanwhile, the guy's breaking in. But anyway, so the camera is obviously a good feature. If you look at from a pricing perspective, from a sales perspective, if you look at a camera's pricing compared to outdoor beams pricing, you guys can work the maths out. It's just a no-brainer to go the new smart way, smart living, more secure way of protection. It's also EN grade 2 approved. As I mentioned earlier, it got LAN, it got Wi-Fi, 2 SIM cards, as well as a backup with a FSK and an RDC radio. And you don't need any special module that costs you 2.5 or 3 grand to make a radio work. We've just got a piece of cable that gets connected to the back of the panel, which is the RS232 port, and it connects straight onto the FSK radio. You select FSK. Those guys that install FSK, you'll just hold down the FSK radio, scroll down up until they get to a H or a R, Rhino, or HikVision format, depending on what radio you bought. Select it. Once on the HikVision protocol, the unit will start communicating as well. And obviously, peripheral supports abundant peripherals up to 210. So when we mean that, I mean, we've got a 96, but we can do 210 peripherals. What we mean with that is that if we say we give you 96 zones, we give you 96 zones. And I'll just elaborate on that. Is that, for example, when you put a key fob to a system, it doesn't take a zone away. When you add a keypad to the system, it doesn't take a zone away. When you add a siren to the system, it doesn't take a zone away. When you add a repeater, it doesn't take a zone away. And plus, we give you 16 channels of cameras as well. So that's quite a winner there. So we give you your true. We don't say it's a 96 device system, because every time you add a device, it takes 6 zones away. We give you the 96 zones as we promised. Video verification, as we mentioned, we'll give you a 7-second video clip, not a photo, a video clip of what has happened on the site. You can either do a 2-second post recording and obviously a 5-second after. And obviously, as we mentioned, that if you have access to the system, you can program the system from anywhere. Depending, you got the login details and you've got internet access to the system. Okay, cool. So here's just a bit of a touch and go on the new one. These are AX Pro wide zones. It comes with if you look at the bottom here, it comes with a SMA /FX antenna for better optical signal. And this is our new, basically the same as the AX Pro, just that it got 16 zones on board. Okay, cool. So yeah, we're just going and touch and go, which we mentioned earlier about IVAS. IVAS stands for Intruder Video as a Service. And theirs is so simple. It's when I mentioned that you do not need a a NVR on the system, it automatically had to click that we are using IP cameras, right? Although you can use a DVR, but obviously you're not going to get the analytics and stuff like that from a DVR, right? Accurately. So here we show it. Here we show it. At the bottom, the AX Pro panel is connected to a switch, and basically from the switch, AX Pro is connected to a router. From the router, we have a cable going out to a switch, and automatically the cameras are on the same range. So the trick here is that the cameras and the hub needs to be in the same range. Okay. Secondly, you were able to select which camera you want to view. So basically, I said I give you 16 cameras on the AX Pro 96, but there's a catch to it. The first 4 cameras will give you full video verification directly to your app. And if you had to pull in the others, you'll pull it in as normal. You will get the line crossing intrusion detection still coming through to your app. All you need to just do is to scan the QR code and pull it in onto your HikVision app as well. So you will actually see the other 12 cameras on the system, but the only difference is the 4 cameras with full verification will automatically come through to your notification, but the other 12, you just have to press the playback button on the app and it will work like that, right? And one other great feature is as well is that, as you know, any HikVision camera that you purchase or any device of that matter of HikVision, you need to obviously activate the camera, which means you will give it the username and password. On the AX Pro, we have a built-in SADP tool. So you don't need a laptop to actually do configuration. The SADP tool will pick up all the cameras on the network. You select which camera you want and just put the username and password, and automatically pulls in. And then you can decide, do I want to become a 24-hour zone? Do I want to become an instant? Do I need to become an entry-exit? Must it be a fire zone? Must it be a delay zone? So you can actually set up like you're setting up a normal alarmatical device, like a beam or something like that, right? So right at the bottom, it there shows you 7 seconds the arc, and end user will see 5 seconds pre-alarm and 2 seconds for reverse. Offline video check-in, the latest 7 seconds video will be stored in the panel even device offline or the cable is damaged, the user can check it again. So that's also another feature that goes in the offline validation mode. And then obviously when trespassers break in, moves in that field of view of the camera will send the information through, not saying burglary. It will either say line crossing, it will say intrusion detection. It will actually give you a description of what's happening. If you have set it up in the control room, those footage will obviously play in the control room as well. Okay, so there's this the smart linkage that we've done here with the no parking, obviously with our tandem bullet. So our tandem bullet is also 180-degree, brilliant, what you call camera. Got loitering detection. If you're there for a certain amount of seconds, obviously alerts you. Got vehicle entry and exit detection. It's a really what you call a region entrance detection. Really amazing, and it's really worth its money because you're covering what you call one big space just with one camera, right? Okay. So yeah, so the wireless keypad, I put a wireless keypad in here, although I was ranting and raving about our LCD. The only time that you'll use a wireless keypad, if you're either using one partition or you're using more than one partition. So when you're using more than one partition. Okay, so it's very ambiguous what I'm saying, but I'll just rectify that statement quickly. If you're using one partition, you can just arm press 1, 2, 3, 4. You press the man at the bottom, the keypad locks, and it will tell you alarm is on, get to your app. Now you have 2 partitions. You will have your first keypad will be an LCD keypad, and your second keypad you can only have as a LED. So if you have a mate's quarter, you put an LED keypad there, and an LED keypad will only go to that partition. That's what I'm saying. It's probably because I first said you needed a LCD keypad for 2 partitions, but I'm saying from a cost perspective, have an LCD keypad as your main keypad, as your global keypad, and have an LED keypad as your second keypad. And the reason why I'm saying that is that this wireless LED keypad, in my opinion, it's just a glorified key fob. You cannot bypass from there. you cannot see zone status. So it's just a key fob that's made bigger. Where with the LCD, you'll be able to check what zone has been triggered, what is the fault. You can do also basic programming of changing user codes and stuff like that without having actually your app on site or have the app available. So it's actually just got great output control as well. So the output control is also on the wireless LED, but it's a lot complicated. You actually need a doctorate degree to operate that output, where with the LCD keypad, it's very, very user-friendly. Okay, there's a second article. There's obviously LCD. It shows you floor 9, floor 10, and obviously one of the great features as well is here, it comes with a tag as well. Tag is very, very cheap, and instead of giving a person a code, there's various ways to do it. You can do a one-time code. You can also do a tag, and obviously you can deactivate the tag. So if you know a deep is coming to cut the lawn on Friday or on Monday, and this keypad's outside and on where to put his box, I don't have to put a keypad code in. I just present my tag. Once I present my tag, I'm in. When I leave, and then arm again, and then you can disable the tag as well when he comes again for Wednesday. No? And I must say, if you guys have not tested it, the response on this keypad is shockingly amazing. It's just like back and forth. And obviously from an 868 perspective. So, you get a lot of latency. Sometimes you have to still put in 195. When you come by 1, then the package has already left. It's very, very well timed. We'll send all the packages through, and if there's an error, it will come back as not succeeded or incorrect password. So it's really, really amazing. And this is really a winner in the market today. Okay, there's a fault check. You can check the faults as well. PR disconnected, which on the white LED keypad, you don't see all those lovely features. Okay, there's a wireless zone 2 burglary, etc., etc. Okay. So we'll just touch and go quickly. I'm not going to rant and rave too much about it, but I'm just going to show you guys one or two things. We've obviously got our PR and dual tech, so I'll just go into detection, range, and angle. All of them is on 50 meters, and something to note, they are 85.9 degrees passive, so which means they're 86 degrees, right? They're also what you call the one, which is the PR curtain. A PR curtain is where a dual tech is volumetric, wide, for 86 degrees. The curtain is 6.3 degrees, and those curtain PRs are more designed when you have aisles, when the passages is quite narrow, and obviously because it has less planes and zones in it, so obviously it picks up quick detection. Because sometimes when you put a passive in a hallway that's narrow, you actually have to bounce around in the hallway for the passive to pick up, because it's not breaking both strands or 3 or 4 strands in the planes or the zone of a particular PR. And then we've got our 360 degree 12-meter ceiling mount PR. And then obviously you notice something at the far end here. We've got 2 versions of the camera PR. So the camera PR, when something gets triggered, it obviously sends you the video. And also you can do a photo where you request that photo to come back to you as a live feed. But what we've done, which is also a little bit more amazing, is that we've come out with the F. You'll see 12P and 12PF. And the PF is that it gives you full color at night. So basically, instead of having a black and white image, you'll have a full color picture at night as well. Okay, this is basically different applications where you install it from a visual perspective. Okay, so something as well, which is also amazing, which our competitor also doesn't have. We've got a creep zone, as you can see. If we've got a creep zone protection, 24/7 verification infrared for dark night, and for dark night, and we've got a filtering alarm by up to 30 kgs. Right, so that's actually quite impressive for a passive of this nature. And like I mentioned, PF means the color view version, and no one can actually infringe on your privacy. How the passive works: motion is detected, the alarm gets triggered, and then the motion has been captured. So if you are linked to a security company that is monitoring this AX Pro alarms, the video footage will go through only on the basis that the alarm went off, not in any other way. Okay, so from a privacy perspective, that's quite covered as well. Okay, so this is basically what we discontinued. We discontinued the old range, and we obviously put in the new range as well. Obviously, nothing wrong with the product. Only thing that was they discontinued a certain chipset in China, and obviously we needed to obviously go with a different model or a better model from there. Okay, so here's a wireless audio detector. Quickly, we'll also run through that as well. You notice that we can mount this curtain passive. We can mount it on the wall, or we can mount it ceiling. When we are mounting it on the wall, right, which is vertical, we can get up to 10 meters detection. But when we mounted it horizontal, we can only do 5 meters. So something just to note there, guys, as well. So you'll see the 10 meters and 5 meters. Audio detection, the double PIR here, it's 18 meters of detection at 90 degrees. And you'll notice there that I've just spotted the area, but okay, cool. The high mount is supposed to be 2.5 to 3 meters, and the low mount is supposed to be 812 or 1.2. So as you mentioned, 1.2 for low mount, 2.5 to 3 meters on high mount. Okay. And then our Tritech signal detector is also 15 meters, twin pyro, and microwave sensitivity. So the nice thing of microwave sensitivity, gone are the old days where you actually have to turn the pod. You actually do the settings in the app itself and obviously bring it back down, right? And then we've got our 180-degree passive, full 180-degree passes, and optional if you want to run both cameras. You can run one camera, you can run two cameras. It's up to you, but it's also a distance of a height amount of 1.2 to 1.4. And you'll notice we've upped a little bit the kilograms here. We're looking at about 24 kgs. 24 kgs on the double PR, which is high mount. So just be careful with any dogs or cats in that area. Just be careful for that. And our low mount is up to 40 kgs. Okay, there's again another example. Okay, so here we are. Obviously, I mentioned about we've obviously came out with our dual curtain passives like the BX80 sideways, and they are also looking at 10 meters. I'll be quite honest with you, I've tested this product myself, and I actually got more than 10 meters. I actually got up to 14 meters. So just depending on how you mount it and stuff like that, and I'm sure if you install it correctly and in the right environment, the beam will obviously perform at its optimum. Okay, so that's also now the dual curtain PR that we came out with. Okay, that's just the brackets. We come with the brackets as well. Okay, now we spoke about the wireless double PIR, 2 PR detection. So while we've got 2 PR detection, it needs to break both pyros to create an alarm, obviously to stop the false alarm. And also what's fun now is in the setting of this passive, we also got a double knock feature. So double knock feature, it needs to see the same signal in the same time frame in order to create an alarm. So that is also just obviously contribute a lot to the false alarm of the system as well by lowering the false alarm by doing double knock. This is the bracket. Okay, this is a single trial detector there. As we mentioned, I mentioned 2 pyros top and bottom, and we also got the microwave, and also as a standard. As a standard, it comes out anti-masking. So if you mask the passive, the alarm will give you a notification that has been masked, as the picture at the bottom here says, anti-masking to prevent it from sabotage. And there's a 180-degree passive, 2 PRs, dual PRs, and what you've noticed here is that there is no microwave on the 180 degree. Only the 90 has microwave, right? Okay, so that's just a video there where the alarm went off, and that's with a full color view camera, right? Let's do the 2 photos. And what is so nice of the HikVision, You can buy the beam just as a standard, and later on you can just clip it on and just add camera, clip it on, and buy the second one, clip it on, and off you go. It's not really integrated. It's not that I'm going to buy now a camera beam, or I'm not going to buy a camera beam. You can add how long as you want to. And what's also what's so nice about the system as well, is that if you have a normal blind passive, you can say, okay, fine, that I can send, when my alarm triggers by this beam, that if you have existing Hikvision alarm CCTV, I can say that when my alarm gets triggered, it must send me the footage from this camera automatically. There's no port forwarding everything, because everything's ready in the cloud. Your NVR, your DVR is ready in the same app. Your AX Pro is in the same app. We just do the linkage in the cloud immediately, and simultaneously you'll get the alarm signal as well. You'll get the live feed of what happened at the premises. So the interlinkage is very, very easy. Okay, so here we just got our different optical detectors, and as I mentioned, something just to look at is that slim door contact. Please, if we can, try to stay away from it when it comes to aluminium. And also our magnet, what you call here, our EG2, and our EG2, the one with the shock sensor here. This one, the shock sensor, got about 5 degree tilt. And with the EG2 or the PDMC, it has also input for 2 hardwired zones. So just picture this: you have your front door, you've got 2 windows. You can just run a small lace cable for window 1 and window 2. And the nicest thing of it is as well is that each zone, it independently reports back. So if you open up bottom window, it's not going to say it's front door, although it's coming from the front door contact. Only time the front door contact will go off is the front door gets activated. But when the bottom window by front door is going to say bottom window front door or top window front door, depending on what you've named it. So it's very, 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 very now. It's very adjustable in terms of that. Or you want to put a panic button at the front door, you can make your second zone a panic. You can make your first zone exit, and you can make your third zone on your detector maybe a instant. So you can actually play around. In the past, you could only make it one characteristic. If the front door was an enter exit, then both other 2 zones will also be enter exit, but that was obviously changed over time. Okay, so there's a slim door contact there as your magnetic for your doors, and here's your external door contact for your gates and stuff. Because the thing is, why we decide to come with an external door contact is that with the relay, so the 12-volt relay, you can open up your gates anywhere in the world you want to. But the problem is, once you trigger the gate, and the gate gives a pulse, it will open up for that 5 or 2 seconds to show it's open. But you don't know if the gate's actually closed. So the gate could be standing open all day, or somebody could have just blocked out the safety beam. But now you have the outdoor door contact. It will send you back the information, say, hey, my gate's open. The gate, on the app, the door will show open as well to say that, I'm in an open state. So that's one of the reasons why we actually designed it as a safety feature as well. Okay, so the new PG board, the new magnet is still the same magnet. The only thing is, instead of, I see a lot of guys was breaking those covers, and there's like a pin at the bottom. They're pushing a pin where you just have to put it on the side. But obviously now we've obviously on clipping, we've obviously made a sliding feature now. So this is obviously the PDMC EG2. The B version is obviously the new version that actually does actually the sliding feature now. Okay, so there's this is the EG2. That's a glass plate detector. So it's up to 8 meters they call of detection, and 120 degrees. So I normally don't like calling the glass plate, because if you have a bunch of keys and you drop it, the sound that it makes is more of acoustic sound detector. So obviously with the noise will obviously trigger the alarm. So that's obviously up to 8 meters. And obviously if you look at the PIR, we've obviously got the PIR that's integrated with a glass plate detection as well. So obviously those units you'll use at your Fashinis and your Woolworth shop fronts. The shattering of the glass before the guy actually penetrated into the store creates an alarm, and Bob is your uncle after that. How much fun will come out and hopefully arrest the guys. Okay, so there's just a bit of a scenario where you will use a glass plate detector. Okay, so We've obviously got a few different ranges. We've obviously got the single button. We've got the dual button. We've got the pendant, which is the chain. We've got the dual pendant, and we've still got the wrist, more for the old age homes and stuff like that. A lot of times I've seen the guys making that mistake is that they take this panic button and it's maybe in their pocket and they leave off. If the panic button is not in the range, it's going to show offline. And dependently how you set up your unit, if the unit is out of range for a long time, it will ping, 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 ping. Remember those use at 2032, CR2032 batteries. The more times pinging back to get a connection with the panel, the more battery power it uses. So just something we need to just be very, very careful about is that when we use this portable panic buttons, is that you just need to make sure that you leave it at the premises in order not to let the battery run down. Okay, so that's just the application. Obviously, in a safe environment, we've got a smoke detector, water leak detector. Water leak detector, I just want to dwell on that one a bit as well. The water leak detector just doesn't detect when there's a water leak. It also got a probe that you plug at the bottom of the detector, and you can go down into a tank. So I'll give you a scenario. You've got a JoJo tank, and on the JoJo tank, you've got a lid. You place the water leak detector in a waterproof box, and you drop down the probe. When the water reaches the probe, it obviously alerts you that the water is full. If you have a 12 volt or 220, depending on what shutter valve you're using, you can have another JoJo tank, and you can create a scenario when the tank gets the notification that I'm full, it must trigger the relay. The relay then opens up the valve and it will push to the second what we call tank as well. So that's also a great feature. We obviously got what we call the heat detector and the carbon dioxide detector as well. And also something not to forget about, a temperature and humidity detector. So our temperature and humidity detector, that's obviously designed for more for your server rooms. So because you want to check what the humidity is, because most of the times the temperature is not optimum, and then the hard drive crashes in the server. So here we can see your 69% of humidity and 27 degrees Celsius in there. So obviously there's a problem in that area. But anyway, and there's obviously a before and now temperature. You can set a high and a low. Okay, and there's a wireless temperature detector. You can obviously link it also to a camera. So if there's in a server room, there's a camera, you can link it to that, and that obviously the camera will also send through information. You can set the threshold that if it goes, for example, if it goes above 24 degrees, must create alarm, and if it goes below 20 degrees, must create alarm. So you can actually just play around with your settings. Okay, there it shows alarm threshold 40 degrees at -10, and then gives you obviously alarm. Okay, so let's. Okay, we spoke about this earlier. I mentioned about the wall switch. Yeah, obviously you can see it in black and white there. 13 amps. So obviously you can switch off any device, providing that it's obviously within the limits of 13 amps. And obviously, if you look at a wall plug is 15 amps. So can take a lot of strain, but obviously like your bigger equipments and stuff like that, you'll need obviously a conductor, and the conductor will switch off your geysers and your air conditioning. If you have a big system of air conditioning that's running on a 60 amp breaker, you'll obviously need to use a conductor for that. Then you obviously got the relay there, mentioned 12 to 36 volts DC. Obviously, garage motors, gate motors, anything to strike or power fry a 12 volt, you can use a relay. And obviously a smart plug. A smart plug is just basically a normal plug that you plug into a socket, and you can obviously latch and do a pulse on that plug for that matter. Okay. So wireless repeaters, we mentioned the 96 zone, particularly the 96 zone, can do 4 repeaters, and the 64 can only do 2 repeaters. So there is a bit of a more price difference, like very, very minimal in pricing. But I must be honest, on the 96, you get really bang for your buck. Also, I mentioned that the wireless transmission is up to 1.6 meters. So 1.6 meters is very long. It's 1.6 kilometers. Bear in mind that you don't have any noise interference, and I always say, that's why I mentioned in the beginning, it's an 80 to 20% ratio. 80% planning, 20% action. So you'll place your hub down in the centralmost point of part of the building, try to do range testing, and obviously there you will obviously find your sweet spot. And panel to repeater. So it's not repeater to repeater. And also, it's sometimes a nice feature. This was my observation testing with the product. Finding connecting detectors automatically, smart auto pairing. For the very, very new technicians, it's an amazing function, because you put your repeater in, you press smart function, and this repeater does everything. Every detector that's on weak signal, it obviously pulls in. What happens with that is that normally within 24 to 48 hours, a wireless system will learn its environment. It will go through all these new tricks and hoops and bubbles to find. Now it finds that, you know what, I don't need the repeater because I can see the panel. Now the repeater, the device is really allocated to the repeater. Now what happens with the detector? Detector needs to get out of the repeater. Now it goes offline, online, because it's fighting to get out. The guys call me to site. The guy said, this thing is just not working. I delete the device, and when you delete the device, it automatically goes then back to the panel. I tell them, okay, I can see full strength there. Monitor for 2-3 days. They phone me back after 2-3 days. I did. This thing is working perfectly, because they've used the smart auto pairing mode. Because at that point in time, it was low. Now it obviously built up momentum, can see the panel, but it cannot get physically out of the panel unless out of the repeater, unless you allocate it back to the panel. And that's where it goes in the offline, because it's between the panel, between the repeater, repeater, and obviously it just gets confused until it bongs out to say I'm offline. And then most of the time, it's just that you need to delete, rescan, and then everything works perfectly. Okay, solutions without repeater, there is obviously just a single story type of scenario with a repeater, say on the second floor, just gives you a little bit of more leverage. I'm talking out of context here now. We are obviously designing our new repeater. It will most probably be available in September, October. We design a repeater with a LAN cable, with an IP connection. So if it's a massive building and it runs on one network, we just plug the repeater on the network, and the repeater will find his way back to the panel. So that's something coming up very, very shortly. Okay, so as you can see, I'm just giving you some accessories. The PK1 LCWE, it's a hot seller there, full what you call LCD display. So I'll really recommend this, as well as a wireless intercom sounder. So you've got a siren with a built-in intercom as well. So basically, you can talk to the intruder from there, etc., and telling me what you're doing, etc. And up to 110 decibels of alarm voice as well. Okay. So those guys, you guys who know what you call the wireless sounder, the big one, the outdoor sounder, when that thing goes off, it's quite loud. That's up to 110, and also the voice call on here is also 110. So you can obviously gauge an idea how loud that unit is as well. Okay, so let's go a little bit to the wired part quickly. So wired part is basically exactly the same what they call as the AX Pro, just in a wired version as well. And obviously you've got inputs and outputs, expanders, and you've got wired receiver. So basically a wired receiver means that it's a hardwired panel, but the wired receiver makes your normal existing AX Pro passives compatible back to the AX Pro hybrid, right? And the input expander is basically your 8 input expanders for your hardwired, and your output expander is more for your sirens and your LEDs, etc. So basically everything's the same. You can also build up, everything's modular. If you need a PS10 module for telephone monitoring, we can give that. 3G, 4G, GPRS, we've got all that available, right? And plus, we also got a motion camera running on 4 wires, not a Cat5 cable. It's 4 wires. It will give you a video signal also back. Okay. Okay, here's the AX Pro. It has 3 variants in the AX Pro, what you call a hybrid for 864 and 96, also EN approved. Basically, exactly the same like the AX Pro, just that it's not a hybrid version of it as well. And there you can see. If you connect it in a cascade mode, and a cascade mode means that from the panel to the first expander is an in, from the first expander, there's an out. So it goes out to an in and out to an in and into out the whole time. And you can cover up to a distance of 5.4 kilometers, because between each expander and the combus at the main panel pushing out, we can accommodate a cable run of 900 meters, which is almost a kilometer, but you have to do it in a cascade mode. Y detector is exactly the same. So everything, the specs, the specifications, the signal, detection range, the processing is exactly the same as the AX Pro, just that it's in a wide version now. Okay, so here we also got a full LCD display keypad as well for our corporate clients or your normal residential clients that require a LCD keypad, and also has a built-in tag reader as well as a standard. As you can see, the emblem there means that there's a tag reader involved there as well. And also another great thing is 2 inputs on the keypad and 1 output on the keypad as well. So you can put extra 2 zones, and you want to put an LED status, you can put this on the keypad as well. It's 2 relays. Okay. So HikLeague Pro Partner is obviously our configuring tool for our installers. So basically, you download the app. You obviously will have access to a whole lot of things like your health monitoring, your password resets, device sharing, and stuff like that. So HikLeague Partner Pro is your best friend when it comes to a tool that you want to use remotely. Okay. This is a bit of a illustration on how to pull in a group, etc., etc. If you want to add all the group, all your alarms under one group, or all your CCTV under one group, so this is just a side grouping that you need to do. Okay. HikConnect, obviously HikConnect software for end users, but obviously I've known a lot of installers that uses HikConnect, because HikConnect gives you the ability to receive notifications, where on HikLeague Pro Connect you can't. So obviously a lot of times guys do, they make themselves an admin, and they obviously just share the site to a customer as the operator. And some guys they don't know the application, the HikLeague Pro Partner. I'll be quite honest, it can be quite devastating and quite intimidating, because there's so much things that goes onto that app, and there's so much features to look at. Where with the HikConnect, it's very simple, and I'll be honest, you can do a lot of things with the HikConnect, but I must say the advantage of having HikLeague Pro Partner is a lot greater, especially if you want to pass the resets, if you want to link to arm response company. Like in the normal HikConnect app, you as the end user cannot link it up to arm response. You will need to have an installer with installer app to actually allocate it, because we want a professional to do the linkage. Because we found out in the past that guys are doing the DIY installations, or they're buying it online, they're installing it, they link it up themselves to the control room. The control room side receive your request, send out the rep. The client's never at home. They email off the contract, they sign it. 2 days later, there's a breaking. The guy installed the hub on the windowsill. Guy broke in, went off. Automatically, AX Pro, whatever product, gets a bad name because of an incorrect installation. And that's why we've only allowed, if you want to link it to an ARC, you'll need to have a HikLeague Partner Pro account. Okay. That's just basically our the app's illustration there. Okay, voice, alarm alert. But you can all set out to your thing. You want the guy to be able to bypass, want him to be able to open up the gate. So you can obviously restrict him a lot. Okay, so the last one is obviously our HikLeague Central Professional. Obviously, we're having all these things. I mean, if you're using an ecosystem, if you're using, for example, our cameras, our access control, our intercom, our alarm, this is our ecosystem, HikLeague Central Professional, where we can actually bring everything through. It's quite a powerful VMS as well. But it's all designed, it's obviously meant for more your bigger security installers and system integrators. If you're the guy that's a little bit smaller, I don't suggest you going this route, but there is obviously an option if you do come across a client that looking for an alternate key solution. we obviously can offer you HIK Central Professional as well. Thank you guys for your people's time. I've spoken a lot now, and over to you, Palisa.
Thank you so much, Adib. I guess this is this your last training that you're going to be doing with us? Because I know you're the AX Pro guru.
I'm trying to get out of it, but I don't know. I'll see.
Impossible. Okay, so Adib, I'm going to ask one question. I don't know, do you have a question to ask the attendees, or should I just go ahead and ask one?
You can ask one, and I'll do one or two.
All right. I think the last time we did the answers on the Q&A, on the Q&A tab. So not the chat tab, but the Q&A tab. If you guys can answer there quickly. The first one to answer after. Okay. I'll share my screen, and then okay, we do have a question, Adib.
Yes.
Okay. On the Q&A.
Q&A.
Does the 10-inch does the 10-inch touchscreen monitor work well?
Okay, so I'm gonna reply. I'm gonna reply verbally. Yes, the KH9510, which is our Android tablet, does work well with it. It's just basically another device. So basically, on the 10-inch tablet, we already have HikConnect preloaded onto the app as well. So you'll use your normal login details, and on the login details which you use in your normal HikConnect, you'll obviously put onto your tablet, and you can do stay on. You can do what you call your check in a zone profile status, the low battery, if it is bypass, what is the battery status of it, if it is in range. So yeah, it does really work well.
Cool. I don't think we have any more questions. If anybody wants to ask a question, you can type it out in the Q&A. You can raise your hand. All right. I don't think there's any more questions, Adib.